It's bittersweet playing against Moon because me and him have like mutual respect for each other.
I'm a lot more excited to play against Team Liquid than any other team just because of our past. Dardoch motivated me a lot because we both came from the same spot. Both basically have a really good organization around us, and in the beginning of the split, he was playing really well and I wasn't.
Wow, 2 kills for Team Liquid, make that 3! 2 javelins for Dardoch!
I knew how good Moon was just from personal experience. Moon had a really rough split. He wasn't filling in the blanks that people had set out for him as a player.
He was performing better than me, so I definitely wanted to play more solo queue so I could be better than him and play better than him.
Elise has Smite, and Moon is a superhero!
I'm definitely excited to play him in a best of 5.
It sucks playing against your friend early on in the tournament, but we'd have to meet them sometime.
It'll be a good matchup.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of the North American LCS Spring Playoffs. We've got another exciting quarterfinal series today, and fans have packed the Battle Arena to see which of their favorite teams is headed to the semis. Earlier, fans outside focused their energy to pass on to the players, and Freak even sneaking into the crowd there. Team Liquid arrived earlier today to make sure they're ready to go for the match. They'll be going up against NRG Esports, who have been battling them for positioning all split long. They took to the stage a short time ago, and one of the matchups that we'll be looking at is that mid lane with GBM facing off against Phoenix. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm James Dash Patterson, and joining me on the analyst desk this afternoon is special guest William Scara Lee, along with Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler and Joshua Jat Leesman. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you. See, like that's so kind.
So civil here without Freak.
I know, right? Yeah.
Good morning, Dash. It is close to the afternoon, but I don't mind.
Exactly. See, Freak would have gotten all up in my grill about that. Well, before we get into our pregame discussion, let's refresh ourselves on the playoff bracket. With their win yesterday, TSM earned themselves a trip to Las Vegas, and we'll be moving on to next week's semifinal, where they'll be playing against Immortals for a shot at moving on to the finals. Now, teams are also playing for those all-important championship points. Winners of this weekend's quarterfinals will earn a minimum of 30 points, and that amount only increases as teams advance in the bracket. Now, before we get into today's matchup, I want to talk a bit about yesterday's series where TSM upset third seed Cloud9 3-1. I mean, it was dominating victory post game 1, in which Cloud9 looked to be starting strong.
Clawed armor.
Yeah, that's the joke, but it looked like it did so much for TSM. You know, the morale of this team, they've been waiting all season long for big wins like this, and they got them against Cloud9.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy just watching the series unfold. It almost looked like Cloud9 fell apart a little bit as TSM got stronger throughout. Seemed like really good pick and ban strategy, but honestly, Bjergsen stepped up bigger in this series than he had the entire year, and a lot of that had to do because Svenskeren had his back for really the first time we'd seen all split.
Yep. I think that, the post-game interview by Bjerg just spoke volumes about what they did this week. All they did was he duoed with Svenskeren, and that's all they did. That's all they practiced was the jungle synergy. And honestly, he looked amazing this playoffs. And comparatively, especially to his normal season performance, this is where it seemed like the 2 weeks of practice helped out a lot.
And also comparatively, comparing him to Rush in that series, Rush had pretty much the opposite, where Rush was really falling apart, didn't really work well with either of the solo lanes. But TSM, that was definitely something that they needed, work on the communication between them, and it definitely showed. Another thing Bjerg said in that interview was that they were just going to commit to the calls, and everyone was going to follow up on the calls no matter what. And that can backfire, but it did not.
It can. We'll see what happens against Immortals when they face them, because that's a team that also seems to commit to all of their calls, and it very rarely backfires.
And if you commit to a bad call and everyone dies, that is definitely worse than just leaving one person behind.
Now, needless to say, though, both players were very vocal about the amount of effort and work that the team had put in, and it paid off in a 3-1 victory for TSM. Moving to the match at hand, a best-of-5 quarterfinal showdown between Liquid and NRG Esports. These two teams were neck and neck in the regular season, but Liquid was finally able to overtake NRG in Week 9 after being tied or behind in the first 8 weeks of the split. Now, thoughts on how Liquid was able to leapfrog at the end of the split, and will that carry over to today's matchup?
Yeah, I think Team Liquid, throughout most of the season, had a lot of very close losses and then lopsided wins. And their record at 10-8 doesn't kind of display how badly they were beating people when they're winning. And it obviously doesn't take into account their scrim record either, because it's not just Team Liquid who has been confident all split. It's been everyone else in the LCS who's like, no, Liquid is actually like the second or third best team.
Yeah, the other thing is that it is kind of weird to be like, oh, how did Liquid overtake NRG sort of at the end of the split? When Team Liquid, they've beaten, the top 3 teams, whereas NRG, well, not the top team. Mortals doesn't count the top 3 teams. The top 3 under Immortals, but NRG has not beaten any of those teams. Cloud9, CLG, Team Liquid has been able to take wins off of these top teams, whereas NRG has not been able to do that.
And it seems like their storylines are even reversed, because as Liquid progressed better and better toward the end of the split, NRG did too. The thing is, NRG was about to fall off. Like, it looked like they were going to lose every single game. And miraculously, in the last 2 weeks, Moon really, really stepped up. And he's been the kind of the player for me to watch, because before he had almost no impact in the first 8 weeks, but in the last 2 weeks, like, he just really took off. And has actually been able to synergize with his team enough to be able to make plays and make his team look good.
Yeah, that 5-1-13 performance on Elise in Week 8 against Team Liquid of all teams was one of the big moments in which Moon stepped up to kind of propel NRG into the postseason. I want to dive a little deeper into lane matchups themselves as we look at these two teams facing off. So let's just go down the list, starting the top lane, Lorlo versus Impact.
Well, I think it's cool that you just brought up, the last matchup that these two teams had, because a lot of people are going to point to that. NRG were able to get that win, and Impact was a big part of it. But this is because the whole team, NRG, targeted Lorlo straight from picks and bans from the very start of the game. They also planned out this elaborate level 1 double pull there, where Impact helped Moon get ahead in the jungle, and then Moon ganked for his lane, and they first blooded Lorlo. So there was so much focus put on Lorlo the last time these two teams met. But this time around, it's a new patch. There are plenty more tanks for Lorlo to play. And I think that he will be able to do just fine, because Impact has also have kind of a rocky end of the split. There was that game where in the lane swap, he kind of derped and stayed up there under the turret. Also, you used the teleport when Bard was there, and so gave up first blood and early teleport, which really snowballed against them. And there have been those moments for him this season.
I just think that everyone gives Impact like a lot of crap, because I think personally that Impact is still one of the best top laners in North America. But the problem with him is that he just looks bad because their jungle synergy just wasn't there. So Lorlo, I feel like looks like doesn't have to be a playmaker in his team, and Dardoch can make Lorlo look really, really good. I think Lorlo is a good player by himself, but he's not like a huge playmaker without Dardoch. However, Moon isn't the same way with Impact. Impact has to be the one making the plays. And it's really, really difficult if Moon isn't playing well.
Yeah, and it's so hard to divorce the top laner and the jungler from the discussion, because we say like, oh, Impact's still a really good player, but we're not going to see it if he doesn't have jungle support. And we have Lorlo up there who's great friends with Dardoch in and out of game, and they have very good synergy. So even if we could say like, oh man, in a straight up 1v1, Impact will get him down, the numbers wise, as soon as you reach team fights, like Lorlo seems like he might actually get an advantage here, depending on the type of jungle pressure Dardoch can have in that matchup.
Before we pull the junglers into the discussion, which we will do in just a moment, I do want to hit one last thing with Impact, which is that yesterday we saw Hauntzer come out on that Maokai, and as we mentioned, there are other tank options. I want to talk about the meta as it's developed in the top lane and how that might affect this matchup between Impact and Lorlo.
Exactly. That big champ pool that I was talking about, all the extra tanks that are coming in, Tank Echo, Maokai in the top, Nautilus is still up there, Gragas is now flex picked up there. So there are plenty of options, depending on how the bans fall. Poppy's still probably queen of the top lane up there, and will probably find herself on the ban list more often than being picked. But there are a lot of replacements now that either of those guys can choose from. And you talk about, in a straight up 1 versus 1, there probably won't be too many 1 versus 1 opportunities in this game. It's probably going to be a lot of lane swaps. And as I said, if you have one moment where you just have a brain fart or something for 10 seconds in a lane swap, it can have really, really big ramifications for the rest of the game.
And it's not just Impact who plays Maokai. Like, Lorlo played a whole bunch of Maokai back. Scar used to be on a team with Lorlo, and he said Maokai was one of his only 2 champions that he played back then. So he's always had a small champion pool, but Maokai totally fits into that one. So it's now Nautilus, Poppy, Maokai, and you're going to be hard-pressed.
Don't forget the Echo, man. It's coming.
Yeah, but is it going to come for Lorlo? I think it might come for Impact, because he's had a broader champion pool in history. But even just those 3 champions for Lorlo, it seems like it's going to be hard hard to starve him without leaving a lot open for Dardoch and Phoenix and Piglet.
Like the thing is, it's like the two teams take really different stylistic approaches. So on one side, Dardoch is they're guaranteed. The TL has the tank top and the carry jungler, and on the other side, it's the same way, but. I think Impact is really wants to bust out something like Yasuo, because I think his Yasuo is like one of the best in North America, and he even says it's like a really good champion. And maybe there's a way to find like the middle ground. Like maybe that's why I look at Echo coming into this equation and being like, maybe that's the chance for NRG to be able to actually have Impact carry more while still being tanky. Like maybe he's the perfect balance because he can destroy backline by himself, and then he doesn't have to rely so much on Moon being able to, let's say, like carry. From the early game for him to get a lead before he can do anything with it.
Well, we talked a lot about the way that the top lane and the jungler can interact. Now let's focus in on the junglers individually, because they can also choose to go elsewhere or just fight each other themselves. So, you know, the story between these two junglers is that Moon has been relatively inconsistent, you know, probably more poor performances than great performances, whereas Dardoch's still a polarizing player. Sometimes he really goes off and sometimes he doesn't, but slightly, I mean, the stats show.
Yeah. Dardoch is incredibly aggressive, but his peaks are super high, and I don't think you'll find a person in the LCS who says that Moon is better than Dardoch as how he's performed. And we look at Moon, he's been very bad this split in a lot of different ways, kill participation-wise, and we say he plays carry junglers, so does Dardoch, but Moon hasn't carried with them. Whereas Dardoch has had significant game impact in almost every game we've seen him on a carry jungler. So this will be a matchup that if Moon can equalize is probably the only way I see NRG having a good chance in this series.
And one thing I want to bring up that isn't often discussed with these two guys is that Dardoch is also the shot caller and like playmaker for this team. As a jungler, it's so much easier for you to look good and make strong plays if you are the one directing the team, because all the plays are made around you. You know, you get to press when your lanes are strong. You get to choose to go to the strong lanes. But Moon gets pulled around on the team a lot. People ask for ganks. He gets directed, whereas Dardoch is the one, you know, more directing the show for where he's going in the early game.
And I think that NRG is definitely like a team where you.
I mean, they've got GBM and Impact on the team, right? Which are big voices.
Yeah. Like you have two people who are going to be big voices, and Moon's just going to be running around. Listening to them, but honestly, for me, Moon is the player to watch this game. If he's able to match his last 2 week performances and advance past it, kind of like what TSM did with their jungler, they have a good shot or a decent shot of winning. But afterwards, if they can't do that, it's going to be really hard for NRG to even win a game.
And it's an extra level more difficult. Like when this team was put together, we're thinking, okay, maybe stylistically they can match up, but we have Impact, who likes to be a shot caller. He doesn't speak English, so the communication has to travel through Quan, who doesn't seem like an assertive player. So like, not only is he torn between which lane he wants to gank, he's torn between languages. He's trying to listen to shot calls from someone whose language he doesn't speak, and if he wants to get on the same page, he has to go through a translator. Like, it's immensely difficult for Moon to have anywhere near the control Dardoch has, even just in comps.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about a player who is assertive and his counter opponent in the mid lane, GBM for NRG, a guy who will call Moon for ganks, who will tell the team what he needs against Phoenix, who's just been a very serviceable mid laner for Team Liquid this year.
Well, I feel like Phoenix is the guy who studies really hard at school. He does all his homework. He shows up at class every day. You know, this guy is getting great CS numbers. He's playing Corki Nazir, the top meta champions. He's going to be your AP source of DPS from the back line, and he's going to deliver for you. He's a role player there, where GBM's like the bad boy, new guy at school. He just walks in, mid-game team fight. Oh, steals Baron twice. Oh, I'm going to win the game here for the team, right? But he hasn't had the same CS numbers in the lane matchups. But really, also in Champion Select, like the champion that GBM chooses tells you a whole bunch about what NRG want to do for that game, because they build a lot of team compositions around him, and he's got all these pocket picks. So you kind of have to wait till you see that to develop before you see what they're going to do in that game.
I mean, we talk all the time. I know that when Kobe and I broke down the last Team Liquid NRG game, one of the big things we had said would be in favor of NRG was GBM's pool in the mid lane and what they can then do, the kind of compositions that they can craft in Champion Select. Now, I guess the big question is, how many more of those picks do they have? Can they craft the Karma or the Zillion Poppy composition again?
And even though Phoenix does play the meta, it's not like he doesn't play other stuff too. He also has tied for the largest champion pool of mid laners amongst NALCS.
Yeah, tied with GBM.
Yeah, tied with GBM. And like stylistically, I was talking about this with Scar earlier, they're so different. Highest CS per minute for Phoenix in pretty much any of the major leagues for mid laner, 9.7. And then there's an 8 0.0 CS per minute for GBM, but he has a massive game impact. So it's pretty much the lane CS guy and the I don't care about the lane, but I will try and impact the rest of the map guy. And when those two styles meet, you get some really interesting results, whether or not they pull towards each other or just fly even farther apart.
All right, finally, I want to take a look at the bot lanes between these two teams. So we're looking at both Piglet and Matt against Conquan and Altec. Scar, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts here in the bottom lane?
I want to see Vayne. That's what I think. I think there's a lot of teams who their AD carries aren't very confident. But Piglet, world champion winner, this guy is confident. I know.
Put on that FKT skin, ready to go.
I know he just wants to crush the other bot lane and be like, I'm the best. So I think they're a team that they've already shown they can run Vayne and Janna. And maybe that might look to be a priority here because a lot of teams have Sivir very high up on their priority. And I think TL is one of the few teams in NA that can actually run Vayne well.
All right, and Jat, you had mentioned, though, that with Conquan having to translate, but not really showing us through his gameplay that he's a super assertive player, do you think that he'll be able to step up in this moment against the other young shot caller in Matt?
It's going to be incredibly difficult for him, especially if he gets trapped in lane against them, because Piglet and Matt, as far as 2v2 laning, best in the LCS, and then you look at Altec and Conquan, worst in the LCS as far as 2v2 laning goes. So maybe if they get a lane swap, they'd have a chance, but then they have the communication barrier, right? So I definitely feel like this is a matchup that, again, heavily favors Team Liquid.
Kobe, ADCs, Altec, he came back in after that hiatus, looked a little bit better. I mean, we definitely said, okay, something has picked up here, but is it enough to go up against the likes of Piglet, who might pull out the Vayne?
Yeah, and like these guys have been saying, you have to look at the bottom lane as a bundle, both Conquan and Altec together, and you have to look past the stats, because Conquan actually has amazing warding stats.
Best in the league.
But something that doesn't show up in stats is presence in lane, as Aframu would say. And it's such a big thing about helping your AD carry lane. And in the early phases, the communication between these guys. We talked about, how Moon was going to be a person to look at in this game. I think Conquan is right up there with him, and how well he can work with Altec and the rest of the team.
A big thing is I feel like Conquan isn't the type of player to play a supportive style. Like, he's not the type of Janna or the Soraka player that you see Immortals use, like through Adrian. He has to be initiating with impact to be able to keep the team fight stable for their team to win. And so you're going to see him on champions like Braum, like Shen, like Trundle, rather than champions like Janna, which might be really, really hard for them to come back from, especially if they lose a lane against something like Vayne Janna.
All right, well, that's a lot of information and a lot of matchups to digest. You can do that at home. While we continue to break down a little bit more, we're going to go ahead and throw it over to Riv, who's Rift side with Liquid's GM.
Thank you very much, Dash. I am joined by Team Liquid's co-owner, Steve Aronset. Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you for joining me. There's been words around the scene in the past 2 weeks, extended scrim blocks, trying to fit everything in that teams can. And what has Team Liquid's regimen been like these past few weeks?
We've been doing the same kind of scrim schedule that we've been doing in previous weeks. The guys are at an all-time high. Morale is good. Confidence is good. Scrim results are going well. I think we're just we're settling in, and we're going to beat NRG today. Yeah.
And coming into this split, fans are happy about it. Coming into this split, 3 rookie players, 3 new players coming up. It's been a very long road, but looking how everything went, how the team has synergized with the core members of Piglet and Phoenix now. What has that growth been like? What has the journey been like watching the team grow?
It's been awesome. The rookies on our team, if you compare them to other rookies on other teams, it's clear they're outperforming the other roles. I mean, if you compare Dardoch to Moon, right? Dardoch won the MVP rookie award for the split. So these guys are just core to the team, with the veteran players we have on top.
And that being a first for these guys in the LCS, looking at a playoff situation, it can even shake the confidence of the most veteran of players. Have you or the coaching staff done anything to kind of ensure or instill the confidence going into a best of series in those new rookie players?
The confidence is instilled through experience and the scrim results and how much the players are learning on a day-to-day basis. So these guys are making improvements and strides that is developing their confidence going into this series.
Well, they've all 3 definitely made names for themselves. You've done a fantastic job this season, and best of luck in the series, Steve. We're now going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break down some more and get into the game.
Thank you very much, Riv. I actually want to turn to you, Skara, and get your opinion on the first best-of-5 experience. You know, for a lot, as Riv just mentioned, for Liquid and NRG, some of these players, it's the first time they're going to compete at the LCS level in a playoff best-of-5. What was your first experience like in terms of preparing for that and dealing with the kind of stress that goes with having to evolve your playstyle throughout a day of games?
I think I just underestimated the adaptation requirement in best of series, because when you play best of ones the entire split, all of a sudden you're thrown into like a best of 3, best of 5 scenario. Like the ability to adapt game by game is super, super important. Like that's why for me, the most important game in the best of 5 is the second game. Because whatever happens, like it's really hard for the other team to prep out completely the first game. Each team has had 2 weeks to prep, and they're gonna throw something new at each other. So how they can adapt after the first game really shows how good the coaching staff is on the enemy team and just how good a team is in general.
Yeah, I really like that point because it's not only how you adapt in the second game, but it's a nice balancing act between adapting after you've lost a game and not playing scared in the next game, because that can really affect a lot of new players as well. If you lose the first game, then you get kind of depressed, and it changes your play style in the second game, which can be detrimental.
Well, just another thing for us to track throughout this best of 5 today. We want you at home to participate in our analyst desk discussion with a repeat of our media question from yesterday. Which player will have the most impact today and why? Tweet your answers to @LOL Esports, and we'll read some of your responses later in the show. Now it's time to turn back to you, gentlemen, one last time to get your predictions for this series. So going down the line here, starting with you, Scar, NRG or Team Liquid?
Team Liquid 3-0.
All right. Short and sweet. I like it. Moving on.
I think it's going to be Team Liquid also, but I think that NRG will put up a fight and take a game.
Okay, so 3-1 for Kobe.
We had a really long discussion just now about every single role. It's hard for me to find the advantages for NRG at the time. But if they get more Baron steals and pull out the pocket picks, like maybe they get something. I think it's a Team Liquid 3-0, though.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it before. They're 1-1 in the best of ones. But when you extend to a best of 5, that's when the real question arises. And we'll find the answers soon enough. It's time to head over to the caster desk to get this series underway. But as we go, let's hear from Matt and Piglet themselves on their synergy as Liquid's bot lane duo.
Playing with a world-class player, there's just a lot of expectations put on you. It can be pretty stressful because it's very unlikely that it's Piglet's fault for why we might mess up in lane or we might mess up in anything. And it's just all on me. And especially as like a rookie player, it's a pretty hard thing to get over.
신인 대 신인으로 하면은 좀 넷이 좀 더 편하겠지만 저는 그래도 3년 동안 하고 있고 그리고 좀 결승전전도 많이 올라가고 경험도 많아서 그래도 제가 최대한 라인전에서 리드하려고 노력하고 있어요.
Usually I'd be the person to like lead the laning phase. At first it was like kind of hard for me because I didn't have that sort of play style, but over time I learned how. I also learned just how to play with Piglet, who would always just know what to do.
매치업도 정말로 잘 알고 이 챔프는 어느 타이밍 때 약하고 이 챔프는 어느 타이밍 때 세고.
With Piglet, even though the climb's very steep, it's a very, very long climb I can get. So if I can like end up being on Piglet's level, I'll just be a world-class player. It's definitely hard, but it's what I need.
요즘에 좀 많이 호흡이 잘 맞는 것 같고 그래도 제일 잘하는 것 같아요, 저희 둘이.
They're the best in NA, for sure. I don't think they've ever lost lane to anyone. Even in the Immortals games where we're like getting smashed all across the map, they're still winning lane. Sometimes they just straight up win us the game based off laning, like against TSM.
Summoner heal, Yellowstar flashes, one more hit will do it, and that's first blood! And they're gonna get the dive too!
저를 제일 많이 리스펙트 해주는 것 같아요. 지금까지 해왔던 서포터들 중에. 그래서 제가 좀 편한 느낌은 많아요. 근데 맷은 자기가 플레이할 때 잘 모르겠지만 저는 그래도 맷 때문에 좀 플레이를 좀 쉽게 하고 있어서 그거는 맷한테 많이 고마워하고 있어요.
And it's definitely something we've seen between these two players here, the rapid growth of Matt and the incredible strength of that duo synergy, him and Piglet together. Now, guys, it's time to get ourselves into the game. I am David Freak, Turley League fans. We've also got some wonderful faces next to me. Newcomer Isaac Azale Cummings-Bentley, former world champion, as well as one of the best casters I've ever had the pleasure to work with, Aiden Zyrene Moon. Welcome, guys. We got ourselves an awesome match. So let's check out the starting lineups right away. We're going to get ourselves some games. On the blue side is Liquid. Lorlo is the top laner. Dardoch in the jungle. Phoenix in mid. Piglet, the AD carry. And the support Matt with Coach Loco Doco in the wings behind them.
And on the red side, it's NRG Esports. In the top lane, also former world champion, it's Impact. In the jungle, it's the rookie newcomer Moon. In the mid, GBM from LCK, Alltech at AD carry, and Conquan on support with Coach Herman.
Yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic to be here, and this is going to be an amazing match. You know, we saw that bot lane duo. We talked about them a lot, and they've been completely dominating the LCS in the 2v2 lane. So I'm really excited to see, is TL going to try to play around that? Are they going to try to use Piglet as that win condition?
Yeah, I think that this is the biggest strategy for TL, is setting up the 2-on-2, and even if they don't get it, they are a very dive-heavy team. They love to dive turrets. Pre-15 minutes, they have some of the best statistics across roles. Dardoch is the pre-15-minute kill leader as a jungler. Moon on the opposite side, though, as a jungler, has the lowest kills pre-15 minutes, lowest assists, lowest kill participation, and he's second in deaths.
It's definitely a struggle then to see, and I know the analyst has talked about that, is how is going to be the Dardoch Moon matchup. That was the one that had to be equalized for NRG to have a shot here. And the bans have come through very quickly. This team's doing a ton of research. Sivir off the board already. Wasn't even picked or banned yesterday in North America, but this one around, much more important. No Kindred for Moon, a champion he's played plenty of. Also, no surprise to see a red side Nidalee ban getting that away from Dardoch.
Yeah, Lee Sin is up. You know, Dardoch has had a lot of success on the champion. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to see that today.
Yeah, that's why I don't think you're going to see that. You're going to see a Gragas first pick here. It's a flex pick, of course. And picking your jungler first, you really don't have to right now because there's so much up for Dardoch, but this is the champion they wanted to go with. Maybe they're setting up for an Azir composition. Maybe they're setting up for something with Disengage and Engage, multiple AD carry as well.
Yeah, and as you said, Gragas can flex to that top lane. We did see it yesterday, and it's something that's been coming out more and more along with the Tank Echo that Kobe was hoping to see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of new tanks coming out, people realizing. Of course, Echo has gotten some buffs over the last month or so, cooldown on the Q, cooldown on the E, and turns out that when you can spam abilities that have high base damages, you work out pretty well as a tank.
He's also really good against Maokai in the top lane. He was the counter beforehand. You built him with some AP. His base damages are so high in the cooldown that you talked about. He's really good into tank top laners, and he builds tank himself. So fills that role while dealing damage.
The next picks right here for NRG I think are no surprise at all. Elise is almost always Moon's next go-to, but they're actually going to hover off that for now and take some time, do something else. Maokai actually picked very early on here in the top lane. Of course, Nautilus is still up, so is Trundle as the other sort of tops we think about as tanks, but also the early pick on Lucian with only Sivir off the table. Highly prioritized enough to be first-round red side.
Yeah, Maokai, not a big surprise to me here for Impact. You know, it just recently got buffed. It's a fair bit stronger, and he was even playing it before then. So,
yeah, he was.
You know, with the added strength, the MR per level should help him out in the top lane.
And there we go. We see the Echo locked in, which was typically the counter to the Maokai I talked about. That's most likely going to the top lane there with Dardoch. He has played Echo jungle, though, so it's still a flex pick here as well, so we don't know exactly where these two picks are going to be going.
Makes it very interesting. I also like the Janna pickup, honestly, as Matt was talking about. Generally speaking, when you play League of Legends, and most supports, you have to lead as a support. You have to make the engage. You have to go in first. You're the tankier one. You're sort of more bursty. And when you play a champion like Janna or Braum, the other champion that Matt's been playing a lot of, you get to react to your AD carry a little bit more. You get to let Piglet lead, and you can make those first moves because Janna can just immediately jump on top of that with the shield. You're not a hard-to-engage champion anyway, and it helps actually shortcut some of the difficulties you might have with a less experienced support.
Yeah, a great combo with Janna as well has been Caitlyn. It's something that Piglet has really liked a lot throughout the season.
Yeah, we did see some Janna nerfs, though. The early game shield as well as the knockback for disengage is down 0.25 seconds on the disable, but this is one of the most successful champions for Matt. I love it when he's on this champion because he can make the calls and he can peel for Piglet and keep that star safe. And the big thing about Janna is he's undefeated on it as well. He's 4-0.
Well, you can see the next few picks coming through here as they hover the Vayne, which I'm not sure is going to come through, but either way, Trundle as well as the Rek'Sai in. So Trundle support into Janna, interesting choice. Rek'Sai jungle for Moon, actually. It's not going to be Elise after all. Meanwhile, Kalista plus Azir.
Azir for Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's back. He didn't get to play it during the regular season at all, and now he gets to play it here in the playoffs. It was a big thing for him before. You didn't want to have Phoenix get that Azir. It became ban-worthy last year, but we're going to see it game one.
I mean, everyone remembers the 1v4 quadra kill in the bot lane. That was absolutely insane. So Phoenix definitely a sick Azir.
I hope that Mouse is real. We actually cast that as a practice cast game. Yeah. We cast a Malzahar game last week. I forget who he was into, but quick call out there from GBM.
Into Rise.
Into Rise it was, thank you. I knew it was a short-range champion that you could sort of outdistance, so probably not so likely in this matchup. GBM still to decide what his champ is going to be. Definitely a hefty front line here. Trundle plus Rek'Sai plus Maokai. They need, I think, a high-damage mid laner to make this comp actually work out, but Azir's off the table.
I mean, Orianna would be pretty nice here. They have a lot of ball delivery with the Rek'Sai, with the Maokai. You know, you're able to get that ball onto the Maokai, you know, jump on the carry and take them out. And this is something you have the lockdown CC plus the ult for the Kalista.
And it's also the champion that GBM fell in love with when he started playing League of Legends and climbed up the ladder. It's the champion that he ground over and over and over again. And everybody was saying when he joined the LCK, this guy's Orianna is really sick. Don't let him have it.
The champion's definitely, I think, most known for in a positive sense, but he's only played it, I believe, once all split, actually, and it was a loss to Impulse, so for some reason didn't quite find success with it. But the comp is all in place. Plenty of tanks on both sides here, but the Phoenix Azir, the GBM Orianna, probably the two most known champions of these guys.
It's funny because he played it against Impulse and lost, but he was 5-1-3 in that loss. So he still had a fantastic scoreline with an 8 KDA, despite it not being a victory for that squad.
We are here at the end of Pick and Ban. No big surprises. Yes, it's Trundle support. Yes, it's Maokai top. Yes, it's Gragas in the jungle with Echo in the top lane for the Liquid side. Not really big surprises either way, but yes, we're back on a comfort here. We're on a composition that we know and kind of expect from all of these players. Not really carry jungles on either side, for that's worth. They're actually back on tanks here, which maybe is slightly better for NRG overall, but it's going to be an interesting one. A best of 5 now on the board here. Liquid, they got to win to keep themselves in the top 4. NRG, of course, looking to do the same. We're going to see who can do it. You guys at home? You're part of the show always. Tweet at LOL Esports with hashtag TLWin or hashtag NRGWin for which team you think it's going to be. Many people say Liquid are the favorites, analyst desk people at home included, but this is the time to show which team is going to be the one. Best of 5 starts right now in the North American LCS quarterfinals. Who's going to make top 4?
And looking at the two compositions coming out here, TL with an Azir composition, they have multiple disengage and zone control champions, as well as a bit of safety, so this composition can actually wait to scale up, but they do have some dive potential with the 4 members, with excluding Phoenix, who actually doesn't do a whole lot during the early game.
Yeah, and I'm going to be really interested to see if TL can actually get the 2v2. Piglet has had the biggest goal differential between AD carries at 10 minutes. He's had one of the second highest CS differentials at 10, and Altec has actually been the lowest in the league at both respects. So if they can get the 2v2, it could propel them to victory, but he's going to get caught here, perhaps.
Yeah, well, we're going to watch as the teams move forward. Dardoch right in front of the wings, Moon spotting him as well, and yeah, up on the Moon they go. Phoenix putting some damage in. Of course, NRG pushing aggressively into the jungle and still looking to maybe be cut off. Matt looking for a tornado off on the wall.
Body slam.
Does hit Moon. Body slam, flash in, plenty of damage. Exhaust on Altec. He burns. The E actually learns Relentless Pursuit to run away relentlessly. Wow, another body slam lands. Somebody Hill hits up Moon. A couple hits will do it. One more! And they're going to get first blood. What a way to start the series.
What a play from Dardoch. The 3-man body slam back-to-back. Incredible stuff.
And that showed that NRG, they knew they have to blind invade to get lane swap wards because they don't want to be in a 2-on-2 against Piglet and Altec. But right now, Piglet's keeping them under turret. They can't back.
Talk about 2-on-2s. How about Trundle and Maokai stuck together against this Janna and Kalista? Either way, you're late to your lane.
Yeah, but it is going to be a 2-on-1 here, so TL do not get the 2-on-2 right off the bat. And I want to talk about where that first blood went, because it went to Lorlo in the top lane on that Echo, which counters Maokai later on. So now that he's ahead of Impact and Gold, that's the big thing that NRG had, was they had Impact experience over the rookie Lorlo, and now that's going to be equalized a little bit off of that first blood.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. You know, the one thing that NRG has going for them, more summoners were burned on the side of TL, maybe hoping to capitalize on something there, but definitely not the start you're hoping for if you're NRG.
Really not. Now, the purchase goes in towards the Ruby Crystal. Lorlo has the Corrupting Potion from the beginning of the game, and now just adding health. So, obviously, yes, a tank build coming in for him. And we watch as the level 1 and the lane swap evolves, and Piglet is actually alone entirely.
Yeah. They're putting Matt down into the bottom lane. Piglet, he can just one-on-one in that top lane, no problem.
He's 1v0ing.
But right now, you can see Trundle, bottom side of the map. Maokai's running down. They're going 4-man onto the bottom side here for NRG. They might be looking for a dive. we'll have to see what happens here, because we know flashes, all 5 are down on Team Liquid's side.
They're all down, but I think they can, and they think they're going to try to defend this 3v4. Dardoch is now in the south jungle right now. They've got top laner plus support there already.
TP.
And yeah, there's in fact TP realizing they cannot get the dive to work. And now we have a lane swap we don't see very much in North America.
Yeah, it's really odd. It just happened mostly because of what happened in that beginning of the game. Impact needed to back. We saw that he would decide to make a play down bottom. And this is another thing that NRG have struggled with, is that communication with Impact and where he's going to go in the early game. We saw him get dove on Trundle before and die very early on in the game. And now we're seeing something where he just missed out on experience for a while, and he's even further behind.
Yeah, Dardoch with a little bit of BM there, laughing at the pillar. But yeah, and I think Liquid, it's also one of those things where they're kind of hoping to just keep the lanes going as long as possible. They don't want to let NRG out of it, and we'll see if they do end up like swapping Piglet around and trying to eventually get back into that 2v2.
Yeah, and we're talking about now it's a 2-on-2 in the bottom lane with the top laner, but this is on Moon, because all flashes are down on TL. Moon is the worst early game jungler in the entire league. He has to make some moves here and get an advantage for his squad, or else that first blood that went over to TL was practically for free.
Absolutely, yeah. Nothing's really getting punished right now. The cooldown's now 2 minutes left on the flashes here. Piglet thankfully had a Trinket Ward that spotted Rek'Sai coming up, so no gank's going to happen there. I think his Rek'Sai Maokai could do plenty of damage on a flashless Kalista. I'm actually surprised he didn't die.
Yeah, you have flash on the Maokai as well. And Dardoch's going to bully Moon out of his jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, Dardoch saw he's up a level, saw he was up on HP as well from Moon getting spotted there, and he's able to bully him out and even extend that lead. So a great early advantage here for Dardoch, and now this is making Impact have to play safe knowing Gragas is topside.
Yeah, and we keep talking about these rookies and these veteran players. A big thing about the rookie factor when you come into playoffs, there are 10 players in this game, 5 of them are rookies. If the rookies are able to actually perform under pressure, and we see which ones it does take them some time for this high pressure situation to adjust, that's the difference. And TL with Matt and Dardoch, they look very adjusted to the pressure. We saw it during the regular season, and so far it's carrying over to playoffs in the first few minutes. Nobody seems panicked, but Moon, once again, it seems like his regular season performance, and it doesn't look like he's stepped up completely just yet. He's missing opportunities.
Yep, across the board, TL looking good though. You know, up 8 CS, 9 CS in the mid lane, up a couple in the 80 carry role, and you know, twice the CS right now for Lorelo. So things looking really good for TL across the board.
Right, first blood was worth 500 gold. There's a diminished assist pool in the first few minutes of the game, so 400 plus 100 was the pool, but the gold lead itself, 1,500, right?
Yeah,
it's like
1,500.
a ridiculous extra 1,000 gold just from the farming, like, early game here in the lanes. Liquid definitely getting out to such a wonderful start here, and yeah, it's on NRG to at some point find a way to turn that around.
Yeah, it's mostly that top lane. First blood to Lorelo, so he has that gold advantage, and then just picking up CS in a safe lane. Echo, it's kind of strange to call it a safe lane, but he was relatively safe against Conquan and Altec, who we have known historically. You talked about it, Azale. They are the worst in 2-on-2s.
Yep.
So it doesn't seem to extend even further if they go into another 2-on-2 with a top laner.
Yeah, I mean, Piglet's heading top, so they're going to actually end up in that 2-on-2 that they really were hoping.
TL really want that.
Yeah, TL was really hoping for this, and they're finally going to get it. We'll see if Moon's going to be able to do anything, as he has been kind of hanging around the top side for quite a while, and Dardoch is just busy farming it up. He's getting further and further ahead on XP and gold.
Yep. All flashes are back up now for the Team Liquid squad. So Moon, he missed his window there to actually make a play. And now he's going to have to wait or force one and get more flashes out. Looks like he's heading towards that top lane, though. Just edging towards it as he does the Krugs.
Yeah, so far, just been the farm game. We haven't seen any of the ganks be actually successful here, and as all the flashes are back up, we're basically back on equal footing in terms of actual power. You can see that fight coming in. Piglet just getting a few autos in, popping W pass, but look at the damage of the Conquan. This is a really good trade. Nearly picks off Altec. He didn't have to burn Summoner Heal, but certainly plenty of damage dealt there.
That was brutal, and this is what we're seeing is the superiority of Piglet in the 2-on-2. This guy is a monster, and he leads the entire league in CS, or not actually CSD, in gold in a 2-on-2 at 10 minutes, averaging 346 more than his opponent, which is practically a kill. It is a kill. He gets a kill in lane more often than not.
Which is horrifying. I mean, it's basically saying on average he's just going to kill you straight up in the 2-on-2, so it doesn't go well, but Impact going to have to flash out of there in the bot lane. A little bit of pressure used there by Dardoch, and when you consider he still has his ult available, that's something that they could look for with the return gank.
Absolutely, yeah. Flashless Maokai, definitely not a hard person to kill here. Lorelo, plenty of damage on his own kit. Spectre's Cowl first up going tanky, but Really can't be too afraid of this one as ability power comes in for Dardoch. Moon is going to get counter jungle. Good by him. Notices that Dardoch's on the other side of the map and will take away a blue buff. Hey, that's good things.
Handing it off. Good junglers.
Looks like he will, yeah. Command attack comes through. GBM, of course, doing all the hard work. No surprise that Dardoch and Phoenix doing the exact same thing here. Once he came to that side of the map, he knew he had map control, and that was well played. Once again, an attempt coming in. The Janna knock up on a Conquan who did not flash away until after he gets knocked up. Gets over the wall, will survive.
Yeah, but heal and flash has to be burned.
Yeah.
And, you know, an even bigger advantage is opening up here in this 2v2 for Liquid. This is without their jungler coming. This is without, you know, Dardoch, who still has his ultimate and his flash available.
Yeah, sure. Dardoch just goes through mid. They zone GBM off of the creeps. He has to go all the way around, and they take the Raptors while they're at it. So even more CS coming around here. And Dardoch's actually hanging out on this side. He's got the ward down.
And he spots GBM. GBM actually going to get hit up right now. Plenty of damage coming through on him. Doesn't have quite the burst to kill him, but gets Shockwave back into the distortion. It's once with cast a disengage, but now Conquan missing flash. Might have a hard time to get in this one. Dardoch, great body slam over the wall. TP coming in. Also the Rek'Sai ulti. A knockback comes in from Phoenix's Azir, but there is nowhere else for Dardoch to go. Burns his own flash to try to get away, but Moon has re-engaged this one and will finally get a kill on the board for NRG. So finally, something answered.
Yeah, fantastic collapse there by NRG. Dardoch getting a little too greedy there, trying to chunk out GBM, and GBM saying, slow down, you're not that strong, and is able to have the collapse. So great job. Does cost them their TP, but well worth it.
Yeah, it was actually interesting because Conquan, after he had backed from getting chunked in the top lane, immediately headed there. He went through the base gates even before they had seen Dardoch open up onto GBM.
Big damage on a Piglet. Nice play right there. You could see that with those few seconds of Matt not being in lane, they chunked the Kalista down to half, but he's okay again.
Yeah, you can see Conquan's already on his way, going through the base gate. And then GBM gets opened up on and says, well, I'm just going to stall this. And then Conquan gets in range, throws down the pillar, stalls him a little bit. And then the TP and the ultimate here, double globals used to pin down Dardoch from 4 angles. Oh, that's just a nightmare right there. I have nowhere to go.
Yeah, what a great collapse, and a great TP coming in right in time as well. Even though Impact didn't get to be part of the kill, it cut off one of the retreat routes that Dardoch would have had. So an unofficial assist for Impact, sadly, as KDA will not reflect that, but don't worry, Impact, I got you. I know you were part of that one after all.
Oh, man. Phoenix, just looking at his CS here, because he's got an advantage, and I was just checking on that lane.
Oh, man.
He was at 102 at 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, he's doing real well.
He's farming very efficiently on this Azir, and all the action that TL makes usually happens in the side lanes. So they leave Phoenix on an island. And just to throw like another statistic out there, out of 52 players in the league, Phoenix in kill participation is number 48. There are only 3 players who participate in less early game action than Phoenix.
Yeah, no, but he participates in a lot of minion deaths.
Yes,
that is
the big thing for him.
Yep.
Yeah, worth pointing out, though, you know, Lorlo with the first blood, not able to really get much more of any advantage in this 1v1 matchup. He's had it for quite some time, and Impact is holding strong. I mean, Impact even TPing away from the lane has actually closed the CS differential from early levels.
Right. So good for him. Well, okay. Bit of a... Basically, Urgot was in that game. They just swapped positions hyperkinetically right there.
Nobody got feared, though.
One tunnel. That's true, yeah. That's okay. The top side is going to be the punishment here. Dardoch showing up. They know Rex is on the other side of the map.
Yeah, they already got turret. They know that Conquan doesn't have flash, so if Dardoch actually does want to go for a body slam knock in, then it's possible, but it looks like they're just going after the turret for some damage, and they're just going to back off because GBM has the inside track.
This is so weird that they had TP up from Lorlo. I feel like they could have went for the tower dive play, dropped the ward gun and got him into that one, but that wasn't the play they went for there, just for some turret damage, the steal on the Krugs, and the re-engaged topside. Someone's going to eventually have to bail this lane out, though. That turret is low.
Yeah, GBM keeps kind of like cheating up towards topside, but deciding to go back towards mid lane. Moon going to help them out and just try to clear up the wave. But, you know, TL feeling like they don't really need to force anything. They're being able to continue extending this lead.
Yeah, they got a turret in the top lane that's unanswered, so you don't have to go super aggressive and get another and be very greedy for it. Now you set up in this top side jungle, you put all your wards down because now you have a deeper ward line that's available due to that top turret being down, and then you take it pretty much by following the game plan of, just go back and forth and find that advantage, find that opening, and here it is.
And the game plan for the top side, I'll take Jukes away, but again, this turret dangerously low on health. Janna knocked around with a pillar, but still gets the turret. The 2-on-2 lane has knocked down 2 turrets in a row. Liquid disengaging pretty cleanly.
And GBM's still not there in time, and he's going back and forth. His turret's slowly taking damage.
Yeah, and I mean, he's falling behind on CS quite a lot. He was down 26 CS, but here comes Impact. Oh, the ultimate out from Phoenix is...
As a flash from Impact, too.
Pretty easy disengage there. Phoenix presses R, and Impact lost way longer of cooldowns with no gain to be had. Phoenix back to farming as though nothing ever happened.
30 CS up now.
And a 3,000
He's looking for Raptors, but he's fighting Moon for them.
Yeah, and I mean, the Bork is now completed on Piglet, so that's going to be a pretty big power spike for him if he can, get on to someone. It gives him a lot more dueling power.
Certainly. I mean, this is just very rough right here. This is a Liquid game that's snowballing pretty quickly. You heard Dardoch talk about it in the interview before the game, the feature we played. Sometimes the game just is won by Piglet and Matt. The game is over because of those two. And okay, certainly First Blood helps and whatnot, and there's other plays to be made, but almost all this gold lead is Piglet and Matt.
The advantages have been taken in the 2v2. They took both those turrets top lane. Those are the only turrets down off the map, and now they're going to rotate bot. They're going to look to repeat. And unless NRG can start doing something about this, they need to be able to stop this. It's just seeming like this inevitability that's going to happen.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you put Lorlo in that top lane, you make sure that he's just going to shove it in over and over again, put Impact on the back foot, eventually, find a freeze when it bounces back if you can, and look for a TP play in the meantime. So TL, they'll most likely make a play bot side map, try to get this turret, and middle turret is very close to going down as well.
Ooh, nice knock up by Matt. Stops the culling a little bit early, but the minion wave is still cleared. Yeah, you talked about the mid lane, and that one's taking plenty of damage as well from Phoenix, winning his matchup so far by almost 30 minions, 20 and change at least. Conquan can't quite knock down the turret. Phoenix still just plays the farm game. And ooh, wow, nice. The threat of body slam flash made GBM flash early, and a good bait by Dardoch. Have to burn the summoner.
Lolo from behind.
Plenty of damage coming in into this one. Gonna try to get the slow to come through on the backside of Q. Will do so. GBM. Ooh, okay. Lorlo flashes out from the shockwave. Didn't want to burn ult for that one, but now
Phoenix
he is injured.
Chunked.
Impact wants in. Yeah, Phoenix took some turret damage, I believe, on that run.
Good Q by Lorlo, though, going to slow Impact down, allowing Phoenix to get out, but another close call. I mean, GBM, both summoners down. Impact did have to TP, but not able to really get too much.
Yeah, Phoenix took 4 turret shots. He ran up, and then he had to walk backwards because Impact had TP'd to that tier 2.
But here comes the other half of it. NRG knew they had the health bar lead, walked into the bot jungle, looked to make a play, but sadly they got sniffed out too early, and they don't get to make that dive work after all, despite the health bar lead. Instead, all they get to do is push in the mid lane minion wave. And look, that's a small gain to be had for letting the Zero get chunked down, but Phoenix won't even leave and go back. You'd rather farm these and chug a heal potion.
Oh, why not? Phoenix loving the farm. Top lane, though, speaking of farm, that's going to be a slow wave that's pushing towards Team Liquid, so Lorlo will have a wave to clean up that's got about 15 minions in it right now.
And look at how little Liquid have to care. The fact that Moon is kind of being pulled around the map by Liquid, not even by his own team. Moon's being dragged around by Dardoch and co. Matt and Piglet are safe enough to keep pushing the turret down. They get to sit under the turret against teams that have some engage tools, right? Rek'Sai and Trundle can lock you up a bit and just whittle these turrets down. They're going to do it right here.
And you're talking about how Moon is getting pulled around the map by Team Liquid. The thing is sometimes he has to blind guess it based on the positioning and who's getting pushed in. If he guesses wrong and Dardoch is making an aggressive play on the opposite side of the map like he was just now, they get a turret because Moon's farming topside. There's no 3-man versus 3-man threat at all.
Yep, and Dardoch and Matt looking to set something up here on Moon in the mid lane.
Moon's alone.
They just want turrets.
And they want GBM as well. The knock-up chain, look at the play. The knockback by Phoenix. 2 assists for him into the mid lane. Tier 2 they go as Lorlo 1v1 up against Impact and actually forcing the Maokai to leave it all alone. Mid lane Tier 2 will go down, still battling back and forth. As the time ticks down, Impact's health bar's running low. Another slow coming out from Lorlo.
Here comes the rest of the team, though. Here comes Dardoch.
Conquan and Dardoch and Matt all reinforcing. Impact will go down. Knock up the middle into the knockback as well. Matt just had to walk in to make that one happen. Another 2 kills picked up off the rotation topside. Conquan could not help. Impact was dead for sure. What a huge lead now for Liquid.
Yeah, it's just all falling apart for NRG at this point. TL picks up 2 more turrets, they pick up 2 more kills, and they're just looking unstoppable. I mean, NRG needs to get something done. They're trying to here in the mid lane, but Phoenix is out of there.
There's just nothing that NRG can do. Okay, the first blood was some extra gold, but it wasn't just that. That was a Ruby Crystal for Lorlo. Who cares? The rest of the game was just Liquid outplaying constantly.
Yeah.
Dardoch way out ganking Moon, the 2-on-2 crushing as well.
Yeah, and you're talking about, well, we'll talk about that in a second. GBM knocked in, and then he ends up dead in the air.
Jeez.
Tossed about like a ragdoll. Ragdoll Oriana skin? No.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
Yeah, and across the board, I mean, 40 plus CS up for Phoenix in addition to the kills, in addition to the towers. The gold leads, even in these individual lanes, are just getting enormous. Matt is going to have to get out of there, though.
But look at that. That's the thing is, Liquid are under so little pressure that Matt gets caught 1v3, flash and goes, yeah, you can't chase that. Your summoners are down. There's just so little risk for anything Liquid does here. They've been constantly reinforcing faster and with stronger members here. And they are running this map to the ground. They haven't even had to go for dragons. They're focusing turrets and getting the lane leads. And look, they can get the stats they want them, but there's no rush.
Yeah, and you were talking about that first blood giving them a lead a bit, and then it really didn't amount to too much. It was just the outplays in the lane, especially in that bot lane where Lorlo was picking up free farm. It gave him a CS advantage that he still has over Impact now with the superior lane matchup. And then the rest of the team, Piglet, CSing like a madman. And in the mid lane, Phoenix, he's just picking up both Raptors every time he can, and calling Dardoch to just walk through the lane to zone off GBM.
And I mean, Piglet's on 2 completed items. We have Phoenix on 2 completed items. There's just almost nothing on the board here for Alltech. Alltech is just finishing his first item.
It's so interesting, too, that Phoenix went for the Void Staff second as opposed to getting the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, which we see so much.
I think he knows he just has to kill frontline. Like, he can just go frontline versus frontline, play it safe, and they'll win.
It's going to work out. Definitely an efficient item, and it comes in pretty cheaply. It might have even just been how much gold he had when he recalled. But yeah, I do like the math behind Void Staff here. And yeah, killing frontline may just happen. Piglet, Matt, and Dardoch still pushing into the bot side, and they're running out of turrets to kill, of course. Top lane and mid lane tier 2 are both dead, so there's really only that one spot to go for.
It's the worst problem to have. We're running out of turrets to kill.
I mean, but sometimes it's really hard when you're 20 minutes in. You're like, how do we even kill them anymore? Like, they're just hiding in their base. There's not even a Baron.
Gold. What do we do?
It's one of the best problems to have, but this actually might be a concern for Liquid.
I don't have enough item slots for this gold. But yeah, down bottom though, they're still continuing to push this out, and looks like TL's going to pick up their 6th turret of the game. They have not lost a turret or a dragon over to NRG.
Let's keep in mind, this is practically a perfect game.
Yeah.
Dardoch died once off being a little bit too aggressive, and a 4-man collapse to actually kill him off. Otherwise, Liquid have just been freaking dominating.
And I mean, as far as next steps, Kalista's pretty good at neutral objectives. I mean, you can actually start to, within the next 5 minutes or so, start baiting at Baron.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they can force fights, and how does NRG hope to win a fight like that besides just a miracle 5-man shockwave?
Oh yeah, Azir and Kalista
Yeah.
are both really good at taking Baron.
Yeah.
Azir can even take it over the wall and have some support.
But you called it, Azale. The miracle 5-man shockwave. Like, that's what it's going to take here is NRG hoping somehow that they're at a fight in the right time and getting a big burst of damage. Right? You've got plenty of AoE from Maokai. We've seen Maokai take over team fights. We saw that yesterday in the TSM series from
It's an all-armor team. All physical damage.
Sure. So, I mean, like, this is now harder, right? They're down 10,000 gold, and it's not facing a Zed and a bunch of other AD champions, but there are teamfight champions on NRG.
Yes.
And the Miracle teamfight, I think, is their hope.
Yeah, definitely has to be. I mean, it's just been a complete macro outplay here.
Yes.
You know, it's 4-1, but they're up over 9,000 gold at 21 minutes, right? This is just purely from CS, from map rotations, from taking down the turrets, getting objectives, and TL doesn't have to take any risks because they're just choking them out.
It's going to be a long time till the items could ever catch up. You heard the European analyst desk talk about that. Well, hold on. We're going to talk about Lorlo fighting Impact a little bit more here as he triggers the pass, and it's going to go on an internal cooldown. Now Phoenix roaming down, spotted by a ward while doing so, and in fact, Impact is winning this fight right now. Pops his ulti, but there's an Azir right ahead of him now. There's going to be plenty of punishment. Jumps over, the knockback comes in from the soldiers, right into his other one, and the kill does come through. Phoenix 2-0-2.
Oh, GBM just a second too late there with the command protect, but I think Impact probably would have been gone anyway, and now TL looking to push down mid.
It's a 10k gold lead at 22 minutes for Team Liquid here. Right out of the gate, just showing complete superiority. All outer turrets are completely gone. They just need to get these inhibitor turrets now. And they have good siege, and they have good objective control.
Well, they're going to go for the objective, actually. They summoned an Azir turret at mid lane tier 2 and said, let's go bait a dragon. Sorry, bait a Baron even. Impact is alive in 8 seconds here. He does have teleport available and a TP available ward.
They don't see this ward though.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
no.
they do.
They still need to
Piglet is
kill it.
stacking up. I think they're just
Moon's
going
here.
to finish.
Moon's here. Moon's here.
he steals it!
He's got Baron. You gotta be kidding me. But this could still be a slaughter. 2 kills picked up for it. 900 gold picked up for the 1500 gold Baron.
How many
Barons
Barons
how did they do it?
are they
Dardak,
going to steal?
Just press R. Like, they literally have the best, almost the best possible team comp for stopping Barons. I don't think you can have a better champion in any role for this. But, I mean, props to Moon. Let's be real here. Props to Moon.
Moon just slides in on the Rex side, keeping his team's hopes alive. That would have been the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that would have been game, but it's still going to be an incredibly tough uphill struggle here.
Yep.
2 members dead means top lane and Hib is open. Baron buff or not, it's a 3v5.
And this steal may not be what actually keeps NRG in the game and doesn't get them any control. It's going to be just a little bit of a stall there so that TL doesn't have it. They get that top turn.
Yeah, and the Baron power play kind of telling the story.
Yeah.
Negative 500 gold is not what you're hoping to see on the table.
Let's watch that again. Moon already tunnels, so they know he doesn't have tunnel. He flashes in, and then early smite by Dardoch. That was 1500 when he went for the smite. So Dardoch went for it early, assuming that Moon was just going to do it right off the bat.
I think they were trying to do Smite-Ren combination.
Possibly, yeah, that's true.
I mean,
wrong timing.
my guess is they probably just called, okay, usually that's what they do, right? 1500, we both do it, something like that. Maybe the communication was off, different languages or whatever, but
I feel like
Moon,
after
really
3
well
months
played.
playing together, you'd figure out the number.
Yeah, I mean...
Not like pick that doesn't play Kalista.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right.
Nerves, right? It's playoffs.
I mean, you're absolutely right, right? It was obviously a mistake by TL. Props to Moon for getting it anyway. Then now we're sitting on a negative 500 gold Baron power play, active on 3 members. But that does mean that sieging is harder. Like, Liquid have to stop and be like, I guess we'll take Dragon 2.
The thing
and
is,
wait.
I mean, the top turret is down, right? The inhib is open. I think TL eventually, they're probably going to pick up the Dragon because it's free. But after that, you group 5 top, you push in, that's a free inhib. There's almost nothing that NRG can do to contest that as long as you play it slowly.
Definitely agree. Well, Scuttle getting picked up. There's the rest of Liquid. Yeah, Dragon 2, you don't contest this. This is not one of the options that NRG have right now. So, yeah, they're going to be down 11,000 gold. They're also going to be down that 6% AD and AP buff from Dragon 1, as NRG don't have one themselves. And Liquid can, yeah, I think top lane is a pretty easy choice to go for. You're seeing Lorlo already trying to set that one up, battling Impact, who is tanking some minions. They finally die to a Sunfire Cave. Raises the roof, praises the sun, gets stunned up, and now maybe looking to run back towards his own base, gets a shield from Orianna, and Lorlo, no worse for the wear.
Yeah, but it's going to be a mid lane push here from TL, and then they're just going to jump up to the top side as Phoenix.
Oh, okay, that was actually a shockwave, chunking people low. Piglet down to half HP, burned his heal for that one.
If he finds some minions, he'll be able to lifesteal up very quickly, but
yeah. Looks like Piglet, is building into the Mercurial, so he does have 2 sources of lifesteal already. He just needs to lifesteal up on the wave. They'll probably let him do that, and the Baron buff is actually kind of helping out here, giving them some more HP, some more lifesteal. So good guy Impact helping his former teammate out.
Good guy Impact. Hoping to keep the minions alive a little bit longer, but in the top lane, they try one more time.
I really like this build from Phoenix. Because he has the Riley's Crystal Scepter now, and he's able to penetrate through Impact with that blitz.
Oh, wow. GBM nearly loses his armored shell right there. Orianna limping around now, leaking oil, having to run back now to the fountain and heal back up. And the 5v4, because of that, means the inhibitor does go down. Baron buff has timed out. And a 26-minute inhibitor kill. Liquid still up 11k.
Oh, man. NRG at this point, they might start talking about what to do next game in pick and bans and what they want to ban out here. Because this is just really Piglet and Phoenix with superior just CSing in lane. It's not something that you can really prepare for in pick and ban unless you get a counter matchup, and NRG will be on blue side next time. So
it's true. These teams, I believe, picked blue side for all of their games, and TL got first picks. We will alternate every single time around. It's not what happened in Europe, but that's okay. These teams picking what they think is best, and Liquid just need to reset one more time. Top lane at Hib dead. They're in 3 minutes away from respawning, so you don't really want to wait that long to make your next big play. So an inhib turret siege should be next up for Liquid.
Yeah, so it's actually looking like it's going to be the Bloodthirster on the table here for Piglet. Just, when you get this far ahead, when you go Bloodthirster plus Bork, it's almost impossible to die. It's like you have so much lifesteal. In addition to the Janna protection, he has frontline appeal for him. It's going to make it so that he can play so aggressively, and even if he does get chunked out, just 1 minion wave, 1 jungle camp, heal right back up to full, get back in there.
yeah, and the Mercurial Scimitar, in comparison, wouldn't be giving him as much. He already has the QSS, and what you're QSSing on this team is basically Maokai.
Yeah.
And it's actually the sole reason that Phoenix ended up getting Merc Treads as well, is just to deal with Maokai and make sure that he can slip away even if he gets Flash Twisted Advance, because they both know their priority targets on this squad.
Yeah. I also think it's one of those things where if it's a more even game, you probably don't go as defensively. You don't get those Merc Treads and stuff. But because you're that ahead, you just know you don't actually need to optimize DPS. you just need to live.
Yeah, I think you guys are absolutely right. It's the risk averse because who cares what my gold efficiency is anymore? Let's just not get one shot by a Maokai route into the team combo. And smart choices by Liquid and good identification by my wonderful co-casters.
Here comes the TP from Impact.
Okay, here comes the play onto the flank, but they're going to re-engage first on a GBM, gets stunned up, knocked around, and eviscerated. 2 kills picked up so far. Matt Kite's back on the backside. Here comes Impact in the front, but 3 kills now picked up. The flash follow, that's Altec dead as well. Impact, the lone tree, running away out of season, honestly. And might literally be so as Game 1 is going to end. Liquid sub 30 minutes in completely controlled fashion. First blood, first turret, first everything except the Baron. They're going to close this one out. Congratulations, Liquid. Game 1 of this best of 5 goes to them.
In an extraordinarily dominant fashion, and they didn't have to rely on Dardoch's early game. It was that level 1 that set them up, and then afterwards, the superior lanes for them. Phoenix in CS eventually pushes it. Lorlo in the bot lane, CSing with Matt. Overall, their macro game was just much better than NRG's.
Yeah, I mean, the level 1 was big, but let's be honest. I mean, this was not about Lorlo in that first blood, right? Impact went pretty even with him. It was about the 2v2. Piglet and Matt absolutely destroying this game. It was ugly in the 2v2.
It was absolutely.
It's what we should be expecting when you look at the statistics, right? That TL, they eventually want that 2-on-2, and they want to crush Altec and Conquan because, honestly, worst in the league versus best in the league in terms of 2-on-2, and of course you want that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Liquid just played to their strengths, right? 2v2 dominance, Phoenix just playing consistently, farming it out. You know he's going to be that high damage source from the backline. Yeah. It's perfect to have a player like that on a champion like Azir. You know that as long as you farm, you're going to be relevant. There's not really the playmaking pressure on him early game.
Sure, and think about the matchups that were picked into here, right? You had Conquan and Altec playing Lucian Trundle. Like, how is that ever going to survive Kalista Janna? There's never a world where that's going to be good. They wanted to lane swap, and okay, they did kind of, but Liquid played we're going to fight you for CS lane swap, not we're going to trade turrets lane swap, and then got the matchups back without an extra inflation of gold, and bam.
Yeah, and you're talking about those lane matchups. I think the fact that Echo is up the sleeve of Lorlo now, somebody who we were like, okay, well, is he going to be good on all these tanks? Now he has the Maokai counter matchup for himself, which you know is a go-to pick for Impact. Does Impact have the Echo prepared? What's going to happen in this series in that top lane as it develops? Because that was one of NRG's edges over TL.
Yeah, well, that edge looks to be pretty dull right now. We'll see if it shapes up in the next few games. But for now, we're going to check in with the analysts to break down the game a little bit more.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, no shortage of action in this game. Starting off at level 1, Liquid picking up a very nice first blood that affected really the rest of the game. So I want to dive right into it, dissecting this initial win by Team Liquid. That level 1, a first blood over to Echo, as well as many traded summoner spells and some strange positioning on the map. How did that affect the rest of the game?
Yeah, it really did scatter energy from the very beginning, and that was going to be a reoccurring thing throughout this game, I think. The miscommunication there. Energy never really looked to get back on the same page. Their opening game plan was blown wide open with this level 1 that it did give away the first blood, but that also meant that they were stranded out there. Piglet stopped some recalls, which was very important for Team Liquid, and it kind of made Energy not go into their lane swap that they wanted to, and then they had to shuffle around. So everybody was starting the game on a very awkward note.
I think they definitely need to dodge lane. Like Janna, Kalista versus Lucian. Trundle can't do anything to Janna, and Trundle's more of like a mid-game pick against tank top lanes. I think if you get to the mid-game team fight with it, it'll do great. But in the lane, it's completely useless. It's essentially just like your 1v2 if it's in the lane with you. And so since they weren't able to dodge the lane because Piglet was smart enough to stop the Maokai back, and they kind of, I think, just panicked and took the 2v2 there, I think that was like almost a game-winning decision by Piglet right there.
Yeah, and then after the lanes panned out, all the flashes are down, then you're looking, okay, is Moon going to be able to make something with all these flashes? But again, they weren't really able to communicate. Impact and Moon couldn't combine for her.
So Jad, walk me through this. We have a replay because a lot of eyes were on Moon. The casters pointed out he needs to make something happen with all these flashes down. Here's the first real attempt at a gank, and yet...
Here's the question about the communication between these guys. There's a flash down on Kalista, and Moon could just go. Expect the ward to be there. He should go. You have a flash twisted advance opportunity from the Maokai with the flash being down on Piglet. Why even stop on a ward? Because that is a kill if he just goes over the wall with Rek'Sai to head him off.
So this may be my jungler bias, but I feel like that is a lot on Impact as well, and that's why I
It's
thought
on the communication between the two of
both of them, because Impact, he has flash. Also, Kalista's very short range, and Impact is just up there CSing. If he just moves up and, prepares for the gank, he's got flash on Maokai. Flash twisted advance is so easy to land to set it up for Moon to get in there. And if they just go at the same time, I feel like they can get, a flashless Kalista pretty easily.
I think the worst thing about this game is that that's the only play Moon can make. That's the only lane Moon is even able to gank. If you look at all the lanes, all right, can Rek'Sai gank Janna? Nope, not with Trundle. Yep. Okay, can Rek'Sai gank mid lane? Not really. The Azir is just going to E out. So his only option is on the Maokai, which has almost 2 to 3 forms of CCs, whatever, and they weren't able to pull it off, and they weren't able to do anything with it. So they just got tri-lane to death and then just lost the game off superior rotations.
Yeah. It also caused them to show in the top lane, and so Dardoch got to level 6 on Gragas first and had a field day.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to talk about. While you see NRG here on your screen, they're definitely going to have some discussions, but we need to remember that yesterday's series played out very much the same way in Game 1, a very dominating performance by one team, so hopefully they're not taking the initial loss too hard. But back onto that jungler matchup, I think Kobe's point about the fact the allowances that Dardoch was given then in order to make it to level 6, he beat the solo laners to level 6 in that game, and so what that did for him and opening him up, to go join a tri-lane and push down turrets. They brute forced 2 turrets down in the top lane in standard lanes.
Yeah, and Moon as well as the dual lane matchup are the 2 biggest targets that you're going to attack against this NRG team, and it seems like Team Liquid is able to attack those super efficiently. Like Piglet will be able to take Lucian into whatever you throw at him, and then he also will bring Kalista, Janna into the Lucian. So I'm not sure exactly where NRG is going to be able to go from that bottom lane matchup unless they can get some type of power pick onto Moon so he doesn't fall behind it. Then he can have lane pressure. Outside of that, Team Liquid seems so advantaged.
Yeah, there was only one hiccup for Team Liquid. The one kill they gave away was Dardoch's hubris on the jungler when he decided to just go after the mid lane there deep in enemy territory, but that didn't even slow them down.
And all this was happening around the map while Phoenix was farming up to 310 CS
Over
in 28 minutes. So
absolutely,
at 200 CS at 17 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll get back to him in the pregame because he's going to be a player to watch for the series. We're headed to a break, but stay tuned to see if NRG can tie the series or if Liquid will extend their lead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I see Fabi.
Where? Oh, he's giving out shirts? His arms are so big.
Wow, another body slam lands. Somebody Hill hits up Moon. A couple hits will do it. One more! And they're gonna get first blood. What a way to start the series.
Piglet is stacking up. I think they're just gonna finish.
Moon's here! Moon's here!
Oh, he steals it!
He's got Baron! You're gotta be kidding me!
It's behind us. Map is behind us.
I'm gonna flash on Lucian. I'm gonna flash on him. Nice.
I can go.
Just end. End to top.
They're gonna close one out. Congratulations, Liquid. Game 1 of this best of 5 goes to them.
As C9 advance towards the inhibitor turret, they're looking to make a game-winning play. If they can win a fight here, their Baron-empowered push could easily be enough to win the game. So, High flashes in. And this is where CLG make the decision to abandon the split push and team fight. They know that if they lose this fight, Cloud9 will win the game. They also know that High's Alistar is without ultimate and diving an inhibitor turret, so therefore he can die easily.